Hey everybody, my name is Samuel Figueroa and I am a criminal defense attorney. I represent people who can't afford attorneys and I do public defense on a daily basis. I deal with misdemeanor crimes every single day and I want to walk through exactly what happens when someone is charged with a misdemeanor. So let's walk through the life cycle of what a misdemeanor is. So first, client gets arrested. Let's just say the person gets arrested on DUI, happens all the time. Officers see that their eyes are red and watery, they smell alcohol in the person's breath. They fail the field sobriety test, and even they admit to having 2 beers. That's an example of the officer having probable cause to successfully arrest my client, and guess what? My person goes to jail. Secondly, what happens after the arrest is a bail hearing. That's when my client will be in front of a judge, and the judge will decide whether or not to impose bail or to impose a release upon certain conditions. So the crime is DUI. That's an example of the judge letting my client go, but on conditions of not using alcohol or drugs or not driving. So it'll get tested every single week randomly to ensure that my client follows those conditions. That is basically the condition upon getting released without paying money to get released. If not, my client's in jail until either he or she can afford it or until they accept an offer from the DA or trial happens. Next, my client has an arraignment. This is a situation where my client will plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest. Very simple. Next will be the lawyer-client meeting. So either I will go down to the jail to visit my client, or my client and I will have a meeting over the phone or in person to discuss the facts of the case, the evidence, the body cam, etc. And we'll talk about the likelihood of conviction, and we'll see whether or not we want to fight the case, take it to trial, or have a negotiation with the district attorney to see if we can solve this case. So next is a pre-trial conference. I put PTC as a short version of saying pre-trial conference, where we will have a negotiation with the DA. And if the negotiation is something that my client doesn't desire, if let's say the DA says, okay, statutory minimums for a DUI, which means 2 days in jail, 40 hours community service, DUI school, etc. And my client likes that offer, then we'll take the offer and my client will be guilty that day and will be sentenced. Then the case is over. However, if at the pretrial conference my client doesn't want that offer and my client is passionate to take it to trial and we have the evidence to back it up, let's say we have great defenses. Let's say that the officer didn't actually give my client the actual evidentiary breath test in his or her mouth to see whether or not that person was at 8.08 or higher, or the officer didn't get a proper warrant for the seizure of their blood to see what level they were at the time of the arrest. Then those are proper defenses to use to take it to trial and possibly win. But at this point in the case, the trial phase of the case, it'll be a bench trial in front of a judge, and we'll give our case in front of the judge, and then at the end of the trial, that's when the judge will make a determination about whether or not my client is guilty or not guilty. And if my client is found guilty, there'll be something called a sentencing hearing. That's basically when the client will receive as their punishment. Then the case is over. If it's found not guilty, which is always the goal, then it's still over, and my client doesn't have to have a DUI in his or her record. So I'll go through this in more detail in another video, but this is the life cycle of a misdemeanor.